1607, Jamestown was a settlement. 105 settlers came, it was permanent. Built on a marshland, bad for growing. John Smith was in danger, Pocahontas saved his life. John Smith declared if you wanted to eat, you had to do work to get a special treat. Yum! Starving time ran out of food, would eat anything, including you. And you, and you, and you, and you. Tobacco was Virginia's gold, and they would smoke it because they were told. Jamestown became a successful sensation, so that's what started our wonderful nation. Holla!
Columbus's voyages inspired John Cabot, an Italian living in England, to seek his own western route to Asia. In 1497, he sailed west across the Atlantic. He reached Newfoundland, an island off the coast of Canada, and a fellow Venetian wrote of his brief landing. Like Columbus, Cabot mistakenly believed that he had landed in Asia. Later, however, England would claim all of North America because of the flag planted by Cabot.
Nearly a century later, an English nobleman named Sir Walter Raleigh sent a group to Roanoke Island, off of present-day North Carolina. The Indians there welcomed the settlers and taught them how to catch fish. However, the newcomers were more interested in looking for gold than for fishing. When supplies ran low, they went back home.
In 1587, Raleigh sent a second group of colonists to Roanoke. Unfortunately, they arrived too late in the season to plant crops. Their leader, John White, sailed back to England for more supplies. While in England, fighting broke out between England and Spain, which delayed his arrival to Roanoke for 3 years.
When White finally arrived to the island, the colonists had disappeared. Written on the doorpost was the word Croatoan. To this day, the reason why the colonists had disappeared and the word was there is a mystery to this day.
20 years went by before a permanent English settlement was established in America. In 1607, a group of merchants started the London Company to begin a money-making colony in Virginia. They crammed 105 settlers and 39 sailors onto 3 tiny ships. They were to ship back valuable goods to England. When they reached Virginia, the colonists settled on a swampy peninsula they believed could easily be defended against American Indian attacks or Spanish ships. They named their home Jamestown after King James I. What they didn't know was that the swamp was swarming with disease-carrying mosquitoes and was surrounded by a powerful Indian group.
Gosh, this land is so swampy here. How are we gonna grow food?
I'm a mosquito. I can't blame.
To make matters worse, the Jamestown settlers were a mix of craftsmen and gentlemen. They didn't know much about farming, nor were they willing to work hard at it. They thought they were in Virginia to search for gold, not to provide for themselves.
We're digging for gold. Look, a sheet of gold. No, give me the gold.
As the food the settlers brought disappeared, they began to trade with the Indians. They traded glass beads, iron hatchets for corn and meat. Many of the Indians sooner decided to kill the English or let them starve before trading. Hunger and disease took their toll, and every few days a body was carried off to the graveyard.
This poor lady died of hunger, too.
Ew, it stinks.
John Smith was a member of the Jamestown expedition. A natural leader, Smith took control of Jamestown in 1608. If any would not work, announced Smith, neither should they eat. They were hungry, so they worked.
I'm not working, I'm a gentleman. If you want to eat, you're gonna work.
Smith wrote about how he met an Indian girl who saved their colony from starvation. One day, Smith was out scouting for food when he was captured by the Indians and brought to a smoky longhouse. Seated at the end of the longhouse was Chief Powhatan, the Indians' powerful chief. The Indians greeted Smith with a loud shout and a great feast, but when the feasting was over, the mood changed. Smith was about to be clubbed to death when a little girl leapt out of the shadows and saved his life. Smith's savior was Pocahontas, Chief Powhatan's favorite daughter. Historians disagree about whether or not Pocahontas had actually tried saving his life. Some think that Smith had just misunderstood an Indian ceremony. Some think that Smith made it up altogether. However, Chief Pocahontas was instrumental in saving Jamestown from starvation as she kept peace between the people. I am Chief Powhatan.
Soldier! Club him to death! I am Chief Powhatan. Soldier! Club this man to death!
No, don't do it! No. Keep going.
Wait! Any last words? Too slow, kill him.
Jamestown's troubles were far from being over. In the fall of 1609, Smith was injured in a gunpowder explosion and he returned to England. In the winter of 1609, it was the worst, however. It was later known as the Starving Town.
Gunpowder!
Without the encouragement of Smith and Pocahontas, the Indians refused to trade the settlers. The English were forced to eat dogs, rats, and even human corpses. One man was convicted of murdering his wife and trying to eat her. His punishment was being burned at the stake. By spring, 60 of the 500 settlers that Smith had left last fall remained.
So, who's for dinner?
You killed your wife? You're a cannibal! Hands behind the back where I can see you. Come on, let's go. You're under arrest.
I'm so hungry. I wish we had something else to eat. Ugh.
When supply ships came next spring, the survivors were told to abandon their colony. Then 3 English ships brought food, 150 new colonists, 100 soldiers. Jamestown was saved again.
Even with more settlers, the people in Jamestown lived in constant threat of Indian attacks. To end this threat, they kidnapped Pocahontas. For a year, she remained captive, but a willing and curious one. During this time, she learned English, adopted the Christian faith, and made new friends.
Among the new friends was a widower named John Ralph. Ralph had already helped the colony by finding a crop that could be raised in Virginia and sold in England for good prices, tobacco. The colonists went tobacco mad, planting it everywhere, even in Jamestown streets.
We're pulling out tobacco from the ground.
Smoking's bad for you.
John, I'm so happy we're getting married. The union of Pocahontas and John Ralph did bring peace to Jamestown. In 1616, Ralph wrote, "People yearly plant and reap quietly and travel the woods as freely and securely from danger as in England."
By 1619, Jamestown was growing. Each settler was given 50 acres of land to farm. That year, settlers also elected representatives to make laws for them. They called this group the House of Burgesses. Only wealthy men could be elected into this group. Even so, Virginia now had more democratic government than England.
We want to vote for the House of Burgesses.
We want to work. Yeah.
Sorry, you have to be a male property owner.
Oh, God.
I'm here to vote.
Well, do you own property?
Yes.
Well, you can vote.
1619 marked the arrival of enslaved African Americans in Jamestown. This year also brought 200 women to Virginia so the settlers could marry and start a family.
Hey, it's the women!
Oh yeah.
Oh, so many future happy marriages.
Meanwhile, Powhatan's people worried about so many settlers coming to their land. When Powhatan died, his brother became chief. Powhatan's brother did not allow the English to take any more land from the Powhatan. In 1622, the new chief and his followers attacked Jamestown and killed 347 settlers. But Jamestown survived and became the first successful English colony in North America.
In the winter of 1609 was known as the starving time. In this time, 80% of the colony's 500 settlers died. An average family used about 100 candles a year. In order to save candles, they went to bed at sunset. A dress in colonial times was made up of 18 yards of fabric and was as much as a modern minivan today. Up until the age of 6, boys and girls had long hair and wore dresses. After the age of 6, were all considered small adults.
Colonists only bathed a couple times a year. Husbands were responsible for their wife's behavior, so any woman who committed a crime, the husband would receive the punishment. Up until 1775, there was no postal service, so letters were simply passed hand on hand throughout the colonies until somebody reached a ship heading in the right direction. In winter, some schools required children to bring a stick of wood for the fire each day. Any student who forgot this essential contribution would have to sit in the seat farthest from the fire as punishment.
I'm a tree, I'm a tree, I'm a tree. I got tons of leaves. I blow in the breeze, 'cause I'm a tree, I'm a tree, I'm a tree. I got roots that go down way into the ground. My branches spread wide way up to the sky, 'cause I'm a tree, 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 I'm a tree.
Lovely seat to sit in.
Oh, I'm filming. Shoot. Special. Oh, I'm recording again. Oh wait, that's a video, sorry.
I'm gonna rap about the axe. This is how colonists react. The tea axe said they had to buy tea from the East India Company. The quartering axe said that soldiers had to stay in colonist quarters. Intolerable acts closed the harbor and made colonists mad, and they were martyred. Colonists must pay a tax for printed paper. That was a stamp act. All these acts make colonists mad, but at least we don't have them, which makes me glad. Word.